What is style? Your style of photography is defined by how your photos look and how they are presented. In terms of how they look, it could be how you crop them, edit them, more color, more contrast, less contrast, stuff like that. And in terms of presentation, it could be how you arrange them on social media, how you compose them, whether or not you do things like collages, if you add white borders to them, kind of like I do, stuff like that. All of that defines your style. We can take my current style and kind of use it as an example. I have lightish editing. I try to be a little bit more true to life with my color tones, but I also have the colors be a little bit more poppy. The way I compose them, I do like a fine art style with the white borders. But this hasn't always been my style. And I think this is kind of important to look back on when you're trying to find your own style. Your style should never be a static thing. It should evolve with you as you grow as a photographer. So if we go back to 2014 when I first started photography, I had no style. As you can see, I didn't really understand my settings. I didn't really understand what was needed for drift photography, how to get like that sense of motion that you see most people have. I had no style. I just went, snapped the photo. I think these are RAWs. I don't really remember. I may have been shooting JPEG at that point. I posted on Reddit asking for a critique, and what can I do to improve was my question. They told me about shutter speed, cropping, recommended ND filters for slower shutters, and gave me some editing tips. I went back out to that same track a couple months later, and the photos that I got just in a couple of months changed dramatically. As you can see, in just a 1 to 2 month period, my style had already started to evolve. We fast forward a little bit, go to 2015. Colors, for some reason, were super muted, heavy on the contrast, washed the highlights. I don't particularly think they looked that great, but this is what they were. 2016, colors were still muted, tone came back to some of the contrast, started playing with matte effects on like the curve. Highlights still kind of washed. Crops were getting a bit better. 2017, my crops are solid, colors are coming back, contrast is a little bit more evened out, highlights are better. And then here's 2018. I can say now that looking back at all of the years that I've done photography, from 2018 onward are pictures that I look back on and say, I really like how that looks. So to kind of give you some perspective, if you're ever doubting yourself and what your photos look like if you're just starting, it took 4 years of learning and going out there and being consistent until me now, my future self, is happy with the work that I put out there. So don't ever get discouraged by how long it may take for it to click for you. It took me 4 years. But kind of enough about me and my journey. Let's talk about you. How do we find your style? You experiment, you learn, you go through trial and error until you yourself are happy with the results that you get. It's not really a cheat code for it. Art is subjective. It takes time to understand. It takes time to define and get a feel for the things that you like. And as you grow, the vision for what you like grows with you. And it always changes. I think one of the strongest tools we have as photographers is our community. You can learn so much from people on YouTube, Flickr, Facebook, Reddit, etc. Even if their photography field isn't the same as yours, I still recommend going out and watching them. People who do street photography, wildlife, landscapes, portraits. I consume a lot of photography content on YouTube, and I truly believe it's helping me mold my style. Watching tutorials and guides on things like color science, ISO, aperture, cropping rules, even if it's stuff you have a grasp on, like you understand it, I still recommend watching it because there might be something somebody says that makes it click for you just a little bit more. I've been doing photography on and off for like 10 years now, and I still watch videos where people are talking about things like ISO and truly understanding ISO, and there's things today that still click for me where I go, oh, I should look at this in a different way. When you watch tutorials and guides, go into it with the mindset of opening a toolbox. They're not step-by-step guides where you're going out to try and recreate what they're doing and what they're saying. You're acquiring knowledge. You're not copying homework. You're doing the work yourself. You're just having them guide you towards the work that you're doing. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. And if you haven't been able to take away anything from this video, then I'm just going to leave you with this. Never stop learning, never stop trying. Failure is experience. Go out there and try things. All right, That's it for today. Go shoot.